As a cake maker, do you find yourself doing everything else except the cake you need to make? Well, if that's you, then you're not alone, because perhaps I can surely relate to this. And this cake right here is one extremely last-minute cake I had a couple of hours to get done. Hello and welcome to Gladys Cake Kitchen. Well, what does it really look like if you're a cake maker who's left things too late? I've been doing everything here except cake, and there is this order that I've picked last minute, and I haven't worked out how to prioritize properly. I have a lot of things going on. So it's almost 10 p.m. today. It's Friday, the 16th of February, and it's almost 10 p.m. and I'm gonna make a cake. I don't have anything. When I mean nothing is prepped. When I say I haven't prepped anything, normally there is a process to selling and organizing for cakes, but I don't have any buttercream pre-made. I have ingredients and materials, which is a good thing, but otherwise I'm literally going to make this cake, from making baking to buttercream to decorating it, and it should be ready by midday tomorrow. I just checked the time and it's exactly 9:43 p.m. on the 16th of February. So this video is all about how to get a cake out when everything else is late. In the spirit of trying to be educative and informative, this is not going to be the regular video, very organized and set, that you see from me. However, hopefully at the end of this video you see the value of how a professional cake maker who is also unorganized and hasn't prioritized is taking on a last minute cake order. So let's get to my kitchen and let's see how this rolls. I am making a red velvet cake, and if you wonder why things are looking slightly different, normally my videos are filmed on set in my lounge because my kitchen is rather small for filming and has lighting issues. But in the hope of bringing you a realistic scenario of baking a cake last minute thanks to my unorganized self, I'm filming this with my phone while keeping things rather simple. The red velvet cake recipe is already up on this channel, which I'll be linking down below for you to check out. Whilst at it, if you're new here, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Gladys, baker and cake artist, and over here I make simple, informative videos to help you navigate cake decorating easily. My videos are broken down into bite-sized explanations taking you through the processes of cake decorating, buttercream making, and all things cake. I also aim to bring you a realistic representation of the cake decorating process, so over here we show our mistakes and cake fails, and in line with that goal, this video will be discussing the reason behind my last-minute cake order, which is entirely my fault. So here's the chaos of what is now my kitchen. Of course, the state of the kitchen is rather unsettling, so I'll begin by trying to regain some order, and whilst at it, my last minute cake crisis on this occasion has nothing to do with the customer but rather my own issues. When the order came through, I was already tight on schedule but chose to take this order because the customer is a return loyal acquaintance and they have had some rather difficult personal issues lately, for which my people-pleasing self wanted to help in my own little way. I have cited my inability to prioritize as the reason for my dire situation here, but that is an oversimplification of my reasoning. I'm rather a very organized person and routine-centered, which keeps me functioning. However, in full disclosure, the task of engaging with customers through the booking process leaves me anxious, but when I can manage the crippling feelings of anxiety, I occasionally take on orders on an ad hoc basis and have tried to focus my attention on creating content. To fill the red velvet cake, I am making a batch of French buttercream made with whole eggs, a rather simple recipe I have discussed in detail on this channel, and this has been linked below in the description box for you. Back to the reasons for my last minute cake crisis. For this cake, this week has been rather busy with some personal commitments, and amongst other important appointments, I have struggled to focus. This started becoming an issue back in January, but I put that down to mental exhaustion due to preceding personal issues going back the year before, which has led to me quitting my baking business for some time now, but I'll be discussing that in another video. So, having struggled to focus whilst juggling other personal commitments, I've also been battling the feeling of knowing the cake is to be made, yet I can't seem to master my inner resources to get the cake put together. I find myself doing everything else except making the cakes, and allocating planned time to get my cake decorating tasks done. Doing that meant Friday came quickly and I was out most of the day and only got back home just before 9 p.m. Even so, I spent some time doom scrolling on social media, still avoiding the reality of my cake baking task at hand, only to start at 9:43 p.m. I'm getting rather concerned about my inability to focus attentively, but in dire situations like this, I can still trust myself to make and deliver a cake. Finally, I received a comment on one of my previous videos highlighting the fact that I seemed good at making cakes last minute, and while that is seemingly true, my risk-taking of making cakes extremely last minute leaves me no time to undertake challenging new ideas and also doesn't help in managing issues such as cake decorating fails when they arise. Hence, for such last minute orders, I almost play it safe with very simplistic designs. It helps to note my customers are normally trusting of me, so perhaps that's a good thing. Due to quiet quitting my business, I've stopped stocking bulk ingredients and materials and only limit myself to the needed items when necessary. These are normally for content, hence the reason why I had nothing prepped in advance for this cake. If I wasn't procrastinating though, this cake should have been rather easy and simple to make without any stress or pressure. But it seems as though I function better at deadlines, so bring the tasks on. Over here, I've made some ganache for covering the cake, and I have a ganache shorts series on how I make, color and use ganache, some of which I have linked below for your convenience. While my aim is to get the simplistic princess themed cake done and out by 1 p.m. next day, I've been up since 10 a.m. today and haven't rested at all. It's past midnight now and I'm also prepping for a second cake that is out on Sunday. This is going to be a chocolate cake, so I'm making the base liquid and measuring out the dry ingredients ready for baking in the morning. When I'm under pressure like I am right now, a few things that help is to break down my task into achievable portions. Trying to get through any cake from bake to end product is undoubtedly a mammoth task that can take days to complete, and an attempt to do this in a matter of hours can truly be overwhelming. I keep hydrated with lots of water and tea, which I observe as a treat. Under the circumstances, I stay with the familiar, well-tested recipes and trusted processes which I can get through without intense thought. New processes will add pressure, which I avoid when completing a last-minute cake. I also try to stay focused by having some familiar noise in the background, which can be my favorite podcast or YouTube videos. On this occasion though, there was the Hallelujah Challenge hosted by Nathaniel Bassi, which I tuned in to keep me through my pressing tasks. So the red velvet cakes baked earlier were done within an hour and 15 minutes, and in that time I tidied the kitchen, made the buttercream and ganache and the base liquid for the second cake due out on Sunday. The cakes were brought out earlier and left to set, and now they are to be wrapped, which I would normally leave on a countertop, but as I have limited time, I'll set them in the fridge to chill for use in the morning, and I'll be moving on to covering some cake boards with fondant and a quick kitchen tidy before the next phase. This is one of the occasions where I would have appreciated the use of a masonette whiteboard, but unfortunately I don't use those and I don't have any stocked up, so I'm gonna have to cover my board with fondant, and this is something I do out of habit. It gives the cake a polished, finished look when presented. Having covered the board for the princess cake and the chocolate cake in advance, tidied the kitchen, and now here's my kitchen all set, looking all tidy. I am super proud of the things I have achieved so far, especially with all that pressure and all that work within such a limited amount of time. I am completely exhausted too. It's about 1:30, I think exactly about 1:25, and I've just made myself a cup of tea for that just takes us to about an hour, nearly 4 hours, and I have been super productive. I love how I've made use of my time. I think in the end, let me pick my cup of tea. I think in the end it was such a daft thing to want to film this process, but I think wanting to film also challenged me to stay organized and stay focused. So all in all, I am happy with the outcome of my activities today. 4 hours, we've made the cake, we've done the buttercream, we've made ganache, covered boards, prepped for the next cake for tomorrow, organized. I want to sit down and see if I can catch up on some important inquiries because my day is going to be busy. The first cake is going to be out for 12 to 1 p.m. and then I have to start quickly on the second cake, which would be out on Sunday 3 p.m. So for that reason, I am very limited in the amount of time I have to respond to inquiries, and customers have been waiting. Some of them a little impatient, but I'm not great at answering inquiries very quickly because it requires effort to type formal language via email and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a bit difficult and I've kind of taken my eye off the ball, but I'm gonna try and see if I can gather my brain to respond to some of them in an order of priority. But right now I've made myself a cup of tea and I'm so proud of what I have achieved so far.